Hello everyone, welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith, and in this featured product video, we're going to be checking out the insert for Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon. This comes from e-Raptor in collaboration with Awaken Realms, which is why this box is not just brown or tan. This is actually a colorful box to see this in. That's because the insert inside is UV printed with artwork from the game itself. So your insert is not just going to organize all your components and help you reduce your setup and teardown, it's also going to look the part as well and blend in with everything you have for the game. So that's a nice additional touch. What we'll cover in this video is not only putting this insert together, but I'm going to literally show you the Tainted Grail core box and what insert comes inside of it when you receive it. And then we're going to actually go ahead, build this insert, put the new insert inside. You'll see all the components transfer over. So you can actually get a good idea as to whether this insert is going to be a better fit for you than what comes inside the box. So without further ado, let's remove this insert out of the camera shot for now and check out the core box and see what you get inside of that first so we can find out what we're working with. Here is the core box, which you guys are very familiar with as we did an unboxing for this game on the channel. I also did a playthrough of the prototype or in development version of the game during the Kickstarter. This would be a game that would be a lot of fun to revisit on the channel in the future, but for now we're focusing on this insert. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the box cover here. We'll take a look at what's inside. I will let you know I have sleeved all of my cards, of course, so that'll be another interesting point to mention is there's a lot of people that like sleeving their games. Not necessarily every game, but some games, and it's interesting to see whether the insert that comes in the core box can actually fit sleeved cards. Sometimes it can, and sometimes it's a very tight fit. So here is the insert as it is in the core box. I've taken out all the narrative books, the rule book, and everything else. Those things just lay flat on top of the insert, and now you can see what you receive inside the core box. So again, everything is sleeved, and I've already kind of slotted things into areas that make the most sense based on the insert. So I've got character cards in each of these slots. But as you can see, some of these cards over here, they're not exactly fitting the greatest. And some of these are the mini cards. They're kind of on a slant in order to get them all in there. After removing the character boards underneath, you can now see the miniatures all have spots to sit. They're not going to be going anywhere, so the insert is really good on the miniature side of things. And then we've got a couple slots over here that can be used for more mini cards. I've actually got some game components in there. You're going to put all your mini cards down the row like this and realize quite quickly that if you want to actually square these mini cards up and put them in here, here's an example of one. I'll just put it in exactly square. It literally, very easily, without even trying, it's just going to jam. Like it's just going to sit there wedged if I try to put it squarely. So to get the most space out of that area, I basically have to wedge all of the cards in there and hope that the edges aren't going to bend, wing, distort. And I guarantee you, if I do that for a day, and I was to go ahead and put all these cards here in behind this pile right here, and then square them up, jam them in there, in about a day, if I looked at those cards again, I would be removing those sleeves and tossing them in the garbage. They just wouldn't work anymore. They'd be all bent up and destroyed. So this was my biggest grief with this insert is like it accommodates standard size cards in sleeves without jamming, but you go ahead and try and do it with the mini cards. Your only option is going to be to take these cards from here and put them down in here, which then is taking away from all the standard size card room that you actually have in the insert. So now that you've seen the core box itself, you now will likely have a better appreciation of how maybe this insert could potentially solve some of those problems that we saw and maybe even make better use of all the space you potentially have inside the box if that insert wasn't a part of it. So we're gonna go ahead and we're going to open this thing up, take a look at all the components, and then I'm gonna take you through the actual building of this insert without you having to watch the entire thing. But again, as I mentioned, there's no glue with this. It's all push fit to actually build this particular insert, which is again, a huge plus. With the box open, let's go ahead and check out all the pieces that come inside the box. So now that we've seen all the components inside of the box, and we're now going to move into the very first step of building this insert, you'll see that on the instructions itself, it will tell you which numbered pieces to pull out for the very first step. If the pieces associated to what it is you need to build are not actually labeled on the piece itself, then you can quickly look at this reference guide right here in order to see where that piece is. You can see this one right here is right down here with the number 1 on it. So we know to grab that piece, as well as these 2 pieces right here, which will sit there, there, and there. Then we're going after 3, and finally 4 with a couple 5s and the glass piece we saw earlier in order to put together step number 1. When beginning assembly of the insert, the thing you're going to want to note is don't punch every single thing out. It'll become a lot more confusing to reference the actual instructions to build it if you do. Just punch out exactly what it calls for in each step and then build that step and then move on to the next one. It'll make life a lot easier for you. So when you're going ahead and actually punching out one of these pieces, you also don't want to be extremely aggressive with it, but you'll notice that they're actually very pre-punched for you. They're ready to go. There's only a couple touch points on each one of them where these pieces are actually gripping to the punch board itself. So you just simply find those connection points and push your thumb down gently on them. There's one right there. And you can basically see that it pretty much just starts to fall out. So you don't have to go about this process in an aggressive way. So as an example, I will show you how to put together step number 1, and then I'm going to go ahead and put together the rest of the steps off camera, so you can at least see how these pieces fit together. So we can go ahead with all of the 2s here, as you can see noted right there, and we're going to slot them in. Now the first thing you want to do for sure is make sure you got this pointed the correct way. I usually line it up exactly the way it shows in the diagram, and you can see here at the very back there's 3 slots, so 1, 2, 3, and then there's more slots at this end. So I've got this oriented the right way and not flipped around like this. So we're going to go ahead and take each piece and we're going to pop it in to each of the different areas. Now don't worry if you pop it in and they feel loose to begin with, because the point of these is that they're going to have these little hooks on the ends of them that later when pieces go in, it's going to pull everything together extremely tight. Next we have piece 3 and 4, so to know which one is which, you can see just in the diagram below, you can see the 4 right here has a little opening right above it, and that matches this piece right here. So I'm going to go ahead and place this up like this. Now remember, you're going to want to face the artwork to the outside, of course, because the point is you're going to want to actually see it. And then you're going to go ahead and place this one in. You'll notice the bottoms of these ones have hooks as well sometimes to really ensure that they lock into position. So for these ones, simply just make sure you apply pressure evenly and don't just go crazy, and then push them all in. Now these ones are going to pop right out, and that's just because they're loose fitting right now. But as you'll see in a second, when all of these are in there and we put these final lines down the side, everything is going to lock in. So as you can see, I've already placed one of the number 5 colored or UV printed sides on this piece, and the very last piece we need to put in before we go ahead and put in the glass piece, I'll show you this on camera right now. So essentially you can see there's grooves for everything, and you simply just go ahead and lay it in like so. Everything will line up, make sure that you're inside of all the brackets, and then just push down and everything will just clip right into position. And just like that, you've got yourself a full tray. The final thing you need to do for step number 1's completion is to find the glass piece. We saw this when we were going through the components earlier. So here, for example, is that glass piece, and you can see it's going to fit right on top of this perfectly. There was coverings on the glass to ensure that it doesn't actually get damaged in transit. Again, you probably saw that earlier in the video. And simply just go ahead and you're going to make sure that this nub here goes into this hole, and these grooves go underneath these lips right here. And as you can see, if I do that properly, everything fits in, and this isn't going anywhere, which means components can go inside of this thing. It can be flipped upside down, rattled, whatever. It's not going anywhere. And when you simply need to open it up, you lift one end and just pull along, and you've got access to your tokens. So what I've done here is I've just completed the instructions on the first page. However, what you want to do, now that you have a good understanding of where everything is going to go, the only thing that's permanently attached to the base of this insert after this first page is just this right here. So what we're going to do is I'm now going to remove pieces as I need to, and using the numbers that are on the board here, I'm going to find the exact same piece of felt that needs to go on that particular spot. And the good news is all the pieces of felt are numbered. So when you're trying to find out where they're supposed to go, very easy. Pull off the yellow backing and stick them into place. It's as simple as that. So I've gone ahead and completed at least the revealed parts of the insert to this point that need to have felt attached to them. Again, very easy to do. Simply pulling off the yellow backing and placing them exactly where they are, matching the numbers, and you're good to go. I've gone ahead and completed putting the felt in the different areas where miniatures are going to be. I'll go ahead and just spin this around so you can see it. Don't worry, nothing's pulled tight just yet. So you'll see some gaps in there around the outer walls. These are not pulled up flush just yet, but once we put those final pieces around the outside, it's going to snug everything in towards the middle very nicely. And here is the final product all put together. The only thing you're not seeing here is all the dividers. I'll bring those into the shot in a second here. So that very first piece we put together at the very beginning, here it is on top with the glass cover. Again, artwork all the way around the outsides. Underneath, you're going to have all your miniatures with felt on every single side. So you can see there's a couple pieces of felt for even these end pieces that we just put on just now. And these side pieces, they all have artwork on them all the way around. Some handles as well to pull it straight out of the box if you want to grab it all at once. And you got compartments all on the side here we're going to put our cards inside of. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, one of the biggest reasons an insert is handy is cutting down your setup and teardown time, and having dividers is a huge plus for any insert. But it's even better when the dividers can be moved anywhere inside of the areas where the cards are stored. So they're not just slid into a position and locked in. You have flexibility to put them in any order you want and in any position that you want, or just not use them at all. So you can see here we have dividers down below for the characters. You get all 5 character dividers, whereas if you remember from the core box we opened up earlier, there was only slots for 4 characters. So this is a nice touch just out of the gates. And then you've got brown, blue, gray, green basic cards here with a blank divider here to do whatever you want with. Over here we got the story events, random events, gray, green, blue, and purple encounter dividers, plus an other divider, which is always handy because you might want to organize things in a different fashion. You can slide it behind that other divider, or like this one over here, fire some cards behind that blank one. So I've gone ahead and placed all the miniatures into the middle slots down the center of this insert. I'll go ahead and tip it up so you can see them all laying down through. It's very protected with that felt in there. Again, that's the sole reason you had them in there in the first place. And all the cards that I showed you from the core box that we opened up earlier in the video are now inside this insert, which is probably going to point back to something some of you might have noticed and some of you might not have noticed at all. And that is, these are not all the cards for Tainted Grail. The rest of the cards that actually came with the core box are being stored, for me anyway, currently up to present day, inside the box that was given with sleeves. So literally, I could not fit all of the cards inside that core box we looked at earlier on, which is another reason why this insert is so handy for me, because I've been balancing between 2 boxes worth of cards in order to get everything in one place, and this insert is going to finally create a solution for me that works. And that does it. All the cards are now inside the insert and all the figures are inside the insert. That sleeve box where all the packs of sleeves came for this game, which is sitting to the right, is completely empty of cards. I no longer have to keep this anymore, which is a huge plus. And everything's organized inside this insert. Plus you've got all your nice keywords across the sides to make setting up and tearing down that much easier. The only thing that didn't fit perfectly was every single of these larger size cards up top here. You'll see this section in the back here is pretty tight, but it's easy to pinch and grab out. So it fits all this stuff perfectly, and I could potentially jam these other 8 in, but I actually don't want to, because these are the action overview cards as well as the combat and diplomacy icon cards. These are reference cards for the game, so I actually kind of want to have these up on top so I can quickly just put them to the side when the game comes out of the box. But other than that, every single compartment is perfect, and someone out there that has this insert might even have a thought for me on this, or maybe they did the exact same thing. But I'm really pleased with how it looks and just how it fits everything so snug, and it's going to be awesome to have it all in a single box. So we might as well go ahead right now and drop it inside and see what it looks like. But I will show you that the tray, as you can see here, just comes right off the top. So it's very easy to just kind of put this to the side when you're setting up the game. So here is the old original insert inside the core box of Tainted Grail. Let's take this thing out and drop this new insert inside. So taking the insert by the handles, I'm now going to go ahead and drop this inside the box. That is a thing of beauty. So you'll notice that I've gone ahead and placed the dials inside the component tray. I've also put the character boards right here where they belong. There's a perfectly snug position right across this area here for them. And I've removed these cards from where they were up here, as instead, because I'm planning on storing this organizer vertical, which you definitely can do, I'm gonna go ahead and place these ones just like this, butting up against the handle here, so that when this box is tipped up vertical, they're not gonna go anywhere. I'm also going to add the Kickstarter exclusive character that came with the game. I'll just place it on top like this. And none of these components that are laying on top are going to be going anywhere with the exploration journal sitting on top of them and the weight this thing has. And last but not least, we have backstories, among other things like save sheets, the rule books, all that good stuff laying on top. And we can now place the lid on the box and seal it up. The best thing about the insert is the fact that absolutely everything gets back inside the box, and I've now just condensed multiple boxes down to a single one. And that's going to conclude the in-depth look at the UV printed Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon insert from e-Raptor. I really hope this helps you make an informed decision as to whether or not this solution will work for you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, keep on rolling solo.